Good evening, everyone. It's August 7th, 2025, and we've got a great episode of the Defer to the Game podcast here for you. We are talking post deadline weighted vibes created plus rankings, the players who have made themselves the most money in 2025, as well as a review of our beloved Florida MLB teams. It's a great episode here. We've got a great section of the MLB season coming right up, a red hot playoff race in both leagues, and some really, really exciting teams. But first, let's get right into it with our Florida teams, and we got to start with the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins have been red hot this year. They have exceeded any and all expectations. I don't think anyone north of I-4 thought anything of this team besides what it would take to get Sandy Alcantara or Edward Cabrera in a trade. And we exit the trade deadline with Sandy and Cabrera both still on the Miami Marlins. Kyle Stowers still on the Miami Marlins. Remarks at a Hall of Fame induction for a team don't necessarily mean anything for the direction a franchise is taking, but Hall of Fame manager Jack McKeon even made it a point in his remarks to say that he really hopes this team stays together. And if we can honor the wishes of Jack McKeon in Miami, I absolutely think we should at this point, because this team has something special. They have the Stowers of friendship as opposed to the powers of friendship. They just came off a couple really good wins against the Houston Astros, one of the best teams in baseball. It has been very clear throughout this entire year that this team has a special quality to them, and I think that the best is yet to come. The future is here now. The Marlins have been spending the better part of a decade looking for that future, and I think it's very clear that the future has arrived in Miami. Then we go across the state to the Gulf Coast, West Coast, Best Coast, baby, and the Tampa Bay Rays, who seem to finally be exiting a horrific cold streak that started right before the All-Star break. A series win in Los Angeles against the Angels absolutely helps the Rays' case. I don't think that anyone is realistically expecting them to surge back for the division or even a wild card. I think this year has 100% been about progress and to a greater extent survival for the Tampa Bay Rays in the future of their franchise, with everything going on with their stadium, with their ownership. But it always helps when a franchise icon and star emerges, and the Rays have that with Junior Caminero. Easily the greatest player to enter this franchise since Evan Longoria, and I don't think that's up for debate necessarily. I think Junior Caminero has established himself as the next great Tampa Bay Ray, and if the Rays do anything, please extend Junior Caminero. I hope that Zalupski, when he ends up taking over the Rays, hopefully at some point here when Stu finally agrees to sell, that extending Junior Caminero and ensuring that he stays in the Gulf Coast of Florida for at least the rest of the prime of his career should be priority number one. It should be absolutely the priority. It's great optics because WF, the shortstop who will no longer be named, is no longer the highest paid player, hopefully in franchise history. Hopefully Junior can knock him off, and it's great organizational continuity. The fact that you have Evan Longoria, a great very good Hall of Fame, depending on your take on Evan Longoria, third baseman, and then you've got another player. It's just like how the Yankees in the outfield have that tradition, or many other teams just kind of have a thing. Our thing is having a great third baseman in the case of the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm very excited for this team. I was very bullish on it, and so it's good to see some progress being made. Chandler Simpson will be my ride or die guy. I am absolutely in love with him, but it's also been great to see Jake Mangum, Jonathan Aranda, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lowe also have some fairly strong seasons. Now we exit from our main Florida bias and get back into Weighted Vibes Created Plus. If you don't know, Weighted Vibes Created Plus is a team stat that is weighted so that 100 is league average. It takes into account batted ball luck, playoff odds, current versus preseason, as well as performance over the last 10 games. and your offensive and defensive performance, as well as your wins and your expected wins. It measures vibes, not just wins. So this is not a pure reflection of the league win total table, more so who is doing the best relative to their expectations, who's having the best season according to what they were supposed to be. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, the Milwaukee Brewers are at the very top of this list, sitting at 193, followed up by the Padres, the Blue Jays, and the Tigers at the very bottom. You've got teams that have been major disappointments like the Atlanta Braves and the Arizona Diamondbacks. You can see that there's a pretty gentle slope, and then you kind of reach the very upper echelon and very bottom tier of the league. You know, you see a lot of teams that have overperformed and underperformed according to their expectations at the ends of this. But in the middle, you can see a lot of very interesting teams like the Cleveland Guardians, who have finally gotten back above 100, the Los Angeles Angels and the Cincinnati Reds, who are hovering right about where they need to be, and some of the better teams in the league like the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees are hovering right about where they were expected to be. Let's get into the top 5 according to Weighted Vibes Created Plus. At number 1, we've got the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't think this surprises anyone. They have stormed out of the gate after a pretty disastrous opening series against the New York Yankees, and they have done nothing but play amazing baseball since. At number 2, a big riser in Weighted Vibes Created Plus standings, the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres have been playing outstanding baseball in one of the toughest divisions in all of baseball. They came in with fairly low playoff odds because the division was so tough and any of the 4 teams could really surge out and take it. And the San Diego Padres are really making a case that the Dodgers can't just coast until the end of the regular season. At number 3, another huge riser right around the trade deadline and All-Star break, the Toronto Blue Jays. This team has caught on fire, and they still remain one of the best vibes teams in all of baseball. They have outperformed some of the kind of pensive expectations and some of the worries over the state of this team coming into the season. No one really knew what we were getting with the Toronto Blue Jays, and turns out what the fans in Toronto are getting are a playoff team. Number 4, the Detroit Tigers. One of the most well-rounded and best baseball teams that we have seen in a long time. Obviously, some major star power with players like Tariq Skubal, Javi Baez making a career resurgence, as well as just a really well-rounded roster. This team is just very good. The AL Central I thought was going to be a complete dogfight this year, and it has turned out to be a complete dog walk. The Tigers have just absolutely steamrolled this division. And at number 5, just a really good baseball team in the Chicago Cardinals. The Chicago Cubs. Oh my God. That's not good. Chicago Cubs. This is just one of the best teams in baseball. They're extremely well-rounded. The division was expected to be a little bit tougher than it was, with the Reds and the Pirates expected to make up some ground, and the Brewers always competitive. The St. Louis Cardinals kind of came out of nowhere early on in the year, had a pretty strong start, but they've started to fade away along with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Reds are still playing some very good baseball, and the Brewers are obviously playing outstanding baseball, but the Cubs don't look to be going anywhere anytime soon. And the positives end here because we are going to the bottom 5. The bottom team in all of baseball according to Vibes is the Atlanta Braves. And that sounds about right to anyone who's watched about 5 seconds of Major League Baseball this year. Sitting at a horrendous -17. A lot of this has to do with the insanely high playoff odds they had at the beginning of the year. They were seen as an almost guarantee to make the playoffs, and now they look to appear to miss the playoffs altogether. They have been not winning as many games as their run differential says they would, which kind of hints at a lack of clutch or ability to just produce wins, as well as their batted ball luck just not being very good. The Arizona Diamondbacks, another disappointing team this year in Major League Baseball. They sold at the deadline, which I think was a very smart thing to do, even though they weren't totally out of it just yet. The Arizona Diamondbacks massively disappointed, along with the Minnesota Twins, who sit at a 30, and the Baltimore Orioles, who sit at a 46. The Twins and the Orioles were teams that were expected to kind of have a make or break 2025. This was going to have a lot to do with the future direction of their teams. The Twins had the biggest fire sale of anyone in this bottom 5. Ownership issues have a lot to do with that. TV rights have a lot to do with that. But this was an expensive team that really had to make it this year, and unfortunately they didn't. The Baltimore Orioles, we really don't know what we're going to see beyond 2025. After 2026, this roster gets very, very expensive in Baltimore. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what GM Mike Elias and the owner Rubenstein plan on doing with this Orioles squad. And number 5, my poor Tampa Bay Rays. This team has had a really, really rough period of time from, I'd say, right before the All-Star break to the trade deadline, and now they're starting to dig themselves out of this hole. I expect this to be the last time we see the Rays in the bottom 5. And now we're talking about a super interesting thing, the players who have made the most money for themselves in 2025. I was really excited to make this list. These are players who have caused the biggest change in what they will be making in terms of a next contract or future extension with their teams. These players have made a massive impact on their future earnings. Number 1, Kyle Schwarber, who might very well end up being the National League MVP by the time this whole thing is done. Kyle Schwarber has absolutely excelled this year. He made himself a lot of money. He has vaulted himself into the tier of, Kyle Tucker, Pete Alonso, and Alex Bregman when he really wasn't considered that as a part of the 2026 free agent class. Number 2, Junior Caminero. Junior Caminero might have earned himself an 11-year extension off of this year, and the Rays would absolutely be right to do it. This has been consistent production. It's not overperformance. It's not batted ball luck. Junior Caminero just happens to be a top 5 third baseman, maybe top 3 third baseman in all of baseball. He's that good. Number 3, a pick you wouldn't expect to see because he was already expected to make record-breaking money, but Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens has proven that his performance was not a flash in the pan. He is just that good. And if it was possible for anyone to add money onto a deal that was already expected to break the market, it's going to be Paul Skeens. Outstanding year so far, a DeGromian lack of run support, but Paul Skeens has made himself a lot of money this year. Number 4, a player that I debated putting higher on this list, but Skeens, Caminero, and Schwarber are likely to make a higher overall sum, and that's Kyle Stowers. Kyle Stowers is also a couple years away from free agent money. He's still got a lot of team control left, but man, Kyle Stowers has made himself a lot of money this year. He has kind of vaulted himself somehow into the MVP conversation in the National League. He's not going to win it, but he's gotten very close. He might actually win a Silver Slugger or maybe even the Hank Aaron Award for the NL. Kyle Stowers has been outstanding for the Miami Marlins. He has been the leader of that team on offense and has helped them beat any and all expectations for that team. And number 5, Pete Alonso, who is quietly having an outstanding year, kind of betting on himself in the 2025 season after he did not get what he was looking for in the offseason. And if there was any doubts about Pete Alonso getting paid this year, he settled them. Pete Alonso's getting paid by somebody. I still think it's going to be Steve Cohen and the New York Mets, but someone might back up the Brinks truck. It could very, very well happen. There are quite a few teams who kind of have unsettled questions at first base, and Pete Alonso has quietly had one of the best seasons in baseball this year. I think the New York market has kind of clouded everything out. Juan Soto coming in, Francisco Lindor. There's a lot of star power in that New York market and even on that Mets team. So Pete Alonso should be on your radar for someone that's going to make a lot of money going into the 2026 season. And that is our episode. Let me know if there's any stats you would like to see in the future on this list or any coverage towards other teams. I am located in the heart of spring training in Port Charlotte, Florida, about 2 hours away from Miami and about 2 hours away from Tampa on a game night. So I tend to focus my coverage on the Florida teams, but absolutely willing to go deeper into other teams. But really, really excited about what this year has brought from the baseball world. It has been an outstanding season. Viewership up, ratings up, and everything. I expect this to be an outstanding playoff race. Keep an eye out for the Miami Marlins, baby. But have a great night. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, and comment down below which team you think will be at the top of the Weighted Vibes Created Plus rankings by the end of the 2025 season. Have a great night, y'all.